This is Fred Beck from Fred Talks Fighting. I'm joined over Zoom by Mams Taylor and the new Prime Gold, which I haven't actually been sent, which I'm very disappointed by. Mams, how's it going?
Good. Did you enter the competition, Fred?
No, I'm afraid I haven't done it yet. No.
Why? You might win half a milli.
I know, I wouldn't mind 500,000. £500,000. What, JJ's in London today doing that Prime giveaway thing in the big gold shop, and Logan's in Manhattan, I think, doing it.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're not there with a microphone and a camera.
That's a good point. I'm not sure how mad JJB to do an interview. I'm afraid trying to find somewhere to escape. If I could track it, use the iPhone. I don't know. There's a lot of tricks and tactics you can use.
This is true. You have all the tricks and tactics, Frederick. Did you not say you're sponsored today?
No, that's only for the 1 month.
Oh, and why don't they renew?
Well, that's a question for Air Up to ask them.
It's their loss. Their loss.
Things come and go. I'm sure I'll work with Air Up in the near future. I've only got you here for about 40 minutes today, so I've written a bunch of notes.
It
We'll
says
start
who
with
14 minutes.
Well, unfortunately, Zoom only lasts 40 minutes. If you really want to, I can send you another link and we can do a little bit of a longer one.
No, I don't have 40 minutes.
Oh, you're like Fred. I've only got 10 minutes. Okay, I'll just go
No.
straight into it then. We got a few
Okay.
number of topics. I just want to skim over. Let's just start with the obvious one first. Care size appeal. How's that been going down?
I can't talk about it.
You can't talk about care size appeal. Okay, that's fine. Okay, Piers Morgan and Louis Theroux. Have you had any contact with either of those guys about a fight on Misfits?
I did text um Louis' camp, and I said, look, I made a joke and then kind of was like, look, I'm serious. If you guys want to run this, let's figure it out. It can be it can be like the Elon Musk fight, it would get a lot of people's attention. Plus, if Louis and Piers actually fought, the lead up would be so interesting because we would make sure that's all documented and filmed and brought to the audience. Just can you imagine the build up to that? And
Well, it would be the most educational press conference of all time.
it would. It would. I think it would be a great press conference. I think the lead up, the training, and imagine getting Piers into shape and Louis hitting pads. I mean, this is all gold. So
What's more likely to happen? KSI Jake Paul or Piers Morgan Louis Theroux?
at this point,
KSI versus Tommy Fury was his zone's biggest pay-per-view of this year. Is it boxing's biggest pay-per-view of this year? The 1.3 million pay-per-view buys it did
it's the biggest pay per view of the year. Yeah,
of
it's the biggest.
boxing.
Yeah.
Obviously, KSI is the only person from
Well,
this.
actually, what pay per view was bigger outside of boxing? I don't think there was one. There
No,
wasn't a UFC that was bigger.
KSI is the only person on Misfits who's boxing pay-per-view. Obviously, the zone and yourself, obviously, you'll be looking for a lot more pay-per-view stars. I spoke to Liam Shivers, who assured me that Joe Weller will be fighting in the first quarter of next year. Now, Ethan Payne and Joe Weller have been going back and forth quite a lot. He reckons that's a pay-per-view fight. Do you think that too?
I do, I do. I think it's time to cultivate some stars and experiment a little bit and take some chances for pay per view. And look, Jake said something that he was right about a while ago, that whatever you're doing in pay per view now, 2 years ago would probably be double. You know, um, and that's the trend that we're seeing, is that people are buying less and less pay per view, and they're pirating more and more. So I really, really hope that some of the ideas I've had can be implemented to go, not stop going against the grain and go towards the inevitable area that I see this stuff going in. In terms of big events being broadcast, I think if it were me, I would I would make everything available for free, and um, that's what they've got to do. They've got to do, and people are going to do this, whether it's the zone or someone else. I don't know. Someone's going to do this. You have to rely on. So if you have 1.5 million people watching a pay per view, The advertising dollars you get for that will be based on 1.5 million people, obviously. Yeah, it won't take into account the pirated streams. But if you have 20 million watching for free, then the ad revenue you're going to generate from that and the database you're going to collect from that, it makes so much more fundamental sense to do things that way, because I think the math can be added up to still provide well for the fighters. The sponsorship dollars should be higher at that level when they know that there's that many people watching what you're putting on. So I think we've got to learn from previous models like Spotify and having a freemium service and then a premium service where you get extra perks. For instance, gamification of the event, where you can partake and be involved and all of these things. I've got loads of cool ideas. I just need to make sure they get implemented soon. So let's see what happens. But I think the natural evolution is that pay-per-view will die within 5 to 10 years,
Well,
no matter what.
Zone's first motto was pay-per-view is dead, sort of thing. They came into boxing saying that, but they did do quite a few pay-per-views.
Oh, you're right. Listen, it's right there and it's ripe for the picking. Okay, if someone has the balls to go through with it and do it the right way, a network comes along and says, you know what, these numbers are outrageous. The piracy is crazy. Like the level of piracy on the Prime card was absolutely.
How many people do you think pirated the Prime card?
Honestly, anywhere from 15 times above, more than 15 times above the actual pay-per-view number.
So 15 million people per asking. That's insane.
North of that. So, and that's, that there's more. There's obviously you can't account for all of it, and some of it is some guesswork and everything else, but there's literally millions and millions of people watching your product but not paying for it. And they're willing to watch it. Shitty quality might fall out, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to dissuade them, right? So why keep fighting that? Why keep going against that grain? Just like the Napster case and all of that stuff in music, when people were like, no, you have to download, you have to buy the music. That didn't work out too well. So for me, I think at this point, it's time for us to take steps into the new evolution, the natural evolution of the direction things are going in, and take it by the horns and say, okay, we're going to try this. We're going to go for it. And I bet you whoever does that first is going to be the most successful. And I hope it's DAZN that take the stand on that and take a leap of faith on that and say, all right, let's give this a try. Because listen, the numbers for the Super Bowl, what is it, $8-10 million per commercial on the Super Bowl, and that's
you would know. You had a Prime advertisement at the Super Bowl,
right? So basically, you've got over 100 million people watching that for free, and the money is insane to get your advertising space. So, okay, we're not doing 100 million people watching for free, as far as I know, yeah, but we can build up to it, and even getting a fraction of that for your advertising dollars will still make you more money than you'll make from pay-per-view, is my belief. And imagine suddenly you've got 20 million people watching your product. All they have to do, they can watch it high quality. All they have to do is subscribe to your platform or follow your platform and put their name and email and address, whatever it is. And that's it. That's the only barrier of entry. Then suddenly you've got 20 million more people on your database. That's worth something. That's worth a lot to a lot of companies, So data is, has been worth a lot for years now. And I think that it's inevitable that this happens. And once someone does it, everyone else has to do it. Because I'll tell you what, if Misfits boxing events are for free, if Deontay Wilder's fight is for free, UFC is going to follow suit. Everyone's going to follow suit. You have to think of how to maximize the amount of people watching and how to monetize off that in order to pay your fighters and pay the costs and still put on great production. But I think that's the way of the future. I'm certain it is.
Well, the negative side to it, the other side you could argue is you would lose the amount of money making pay-per-view. Then you could also argue the amount of viewers, new viewers coming to watch it, you can sell that money you just lost on the advertisements. So you wouldn't actually be losing any money in the first place. I take it you probably discussed this in your zone meeting. You had Calla and Joe about a month ago. For next year for Misfits 2024, obviously a brand new year, how many different countries do you think you'll be going to?
As of right now, we have 4, but I think there's going to be up to 8 or 9. So honestly, it's a bit speculative, and I hate when I say something and then it's taken out
Is
of
that
context.
8 or 9 different countries or different events?
Yeah, that's kind of the plan, but that doesn't mean that's what's going to happen. So let me just say that before everyone's like, "Oh, Mams, you said it's going to happen." I didn't. I said that's the tentative plan, but we're still discussing. And I think before Christmas, we should have a schedule. Hopefully, I'm working on that because one of my criticisms of ourselves and what we do is a lot of things for a number of reasons keep happening last minute, and we have to announce things last minute, so it doesn't have room to breathe, to be promoted properly, to build up, to let it take up real estate inside your head when you're going to sleep thinking like, oh man, I'm excited about this fight. I want the build to be more rigorous and more well thought out, and I think that we need to give people more time to digest these things. So
there'll be a schedule released in December about the upcoming events for 2024. Is that correct?
yeah,
Okay.
well, no, we'll decide then. I don't know when we're releasing the schedule, but
Mm.
soon, hopefully. Look, I would rather people know that everything transparently as quickly as
Yeah.
possible, but it's not just me that decides these things.
And do you reckon we'll get an event every month for Misfits? Just one a month, 12 for the next year?
I think that's a safe bet.
Yeah, I agree too. Not you got because if you do 2 months, that's kind of oversaturating it. The smart thing to do
Unless
one a month.
unless you do the second one in a completely different territory. Let's say you do a Spanish Misfits event, right? Um, and it's all Hispanic names that have a Hispanic audience. The subset there, it's going to be, sorry, they hate vacuum cleaners. They hate Hoovers so much. Yeah, so basically it's not going to be, it's a new audience. It's 95%, 90 something percent more of a different audience. So if you put Spanish influencers on a Spanish card in Spain or in Latin America, you're going to get a new audience. And then you're going to get some of the Misfits fans curious to watch what's going on in Misfits Spain, but we're going to have so we've got a new demographic, and I don't think that will fatigue our viewers, you know. If you're absolutely like a fanatic and you want to watch everything and you just love boxing regardless, you love influencer boxing, you love crossover boxing, then yeah, you'll watch it. But I don't think it's going to be a massive overlap.
Okay, that's interesting. It's like what Mr. Beast does on his channel, having Mr. Beast in English, in Spanish, in lots of different languages all across the world. Another thing I
Yeah,
want to talk about is Misfits MMA. Any news on this? Obviously, it was mentioned in the small council meeting.
there will be some MMA sprinkled onto our cards. Let's see how it goes. If it goes well and people are excited about it, then maybe there's more to come.
Would you
We'll
keep the
see.
same ring, or do you have to swap the rings in and out?
There's conversations going on. Let's see. I think let's not. That's one thing we want to do, and we want to do well, is like hone in on what we are doing well on, and not expand too quickly and get too excited and suddenly do Misfits chocolate bars and Misfits golf and Misfits tennis. And I think these things take time. Let's solidify our brand. We're still babies. Misfits is still a baby, and it's been around for what, 14, 15 months, 14 months, I think, something along those lines. So we still have a long way to go, and we want to keep establishing ourselves more and more. Obviously, the Prime card did amazing numbers. We want to continue with that upward spiral, and then it will enable us the opportunity to expand the brand into different areas where there's a demand for it and where we can create a demand for it.
Well, Misfits is the company, and then the Misfits here, and you can expand Misfits boxing, Misfits MMA, golf, F1. You can have loads of different sports branching out, couldn't you? That's a smart thing
You
about it.
Well, yeah, but if you do that too quickly, then you're gonna fall flat, and it's not good for the brand to do that. So even with Prime, oh man, we get so many offers to do different things and expand into different areas, which would make a lot of money, but it's not the right way to do it if you want longevity, you know.
Mm.
It's about honing in on what you have, growing it, and establishing to a level where it then becomes a safer risk to expand into another, area. Obviously, combat sports is closely linked. A lot of people who love MMA love boxing. A lot of people who love boxing love MMA. So that would be the natural progression. But I think before we commit to any long-term plans, um, it would be a good idea to just sprinkle in a few fights, see how people react, see what it's about, and decide from there.
Yeah, it is a natural transition from going boxing to MMA. Be all right and meaning to take things very slowly. I'm going to mention you some names now. We're going to talk about to bring into the scene. I've got a list of names here on my laptop. Sneako. Any news on Sneako? Any conversations there about him fighting there next year?
No, I think we spoke a couple of times. I don't know. I don't know if he's very serious or not about actually boxing. I had a nice chat with him. Assured him, I think he was concerned that it being Misfits and KSI owned, that he would not get fair treatment. I reassured him that that would not be the case, which it absolutely wouldn't be. And then, he just wanted to think about it, and he hasn't. That was a long while ago, so he hasn't actually fought since that conversation. So I don't know. Look, fantasizing about fighting is, something we can all do. Actually committing to it and getting in that ring, as you know, Fred, takes a lot. I've asked you to fight a million times,
Have you
but you
seen? Have
told
you
me
seen my black eye, Mams? Here, where is it? Which eye's under? You seen that? Look at that black eye.
I don't see a black eye.
What do you
Hey,
mean? No, 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 no. There. Look how bad that is. It was way
it
worse. It's
looks
got
like,
better.
I need some sleep. Stop working so hard. Actually, I would never say that. Keep working hard. Did you get stung? Yeah.
Yeah, and he watched after we finished sparring, he was like, "Oh yeah, I love your interviews too, Fred." I was like, "Damn, man." He
Well,
watched
that's
it
good.
as well.
I'm glad you're spending more time in the ring. I think you're quite a good technical boxer, and I think you could do well. But you're a bit snobby. You're like Jose Aldo or nobody. So I'm not gonna adhere to your demands, Fred. You have to earn your way like everybody.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, whatever. Moving down this list,
how
HS
about you and Fox? You and Fox the G as a tag team.
that could be interesting.
Would you do it?
Maybe we'll have to talk about it. Against who?
If I were to have a small fun concept event in December, would you do it?
What would the concept be?
I can't talk about it in case it happens.
In December is a very hard month as well. Obviously, there's a lot going on in December. Christmas is near as well.
I know I'm putting up my tree today. I'm excited. I'm very excited. What else was I going to tell you? You have a twin, and she, honestly, I really thought,
I'll put a photo up on the screen now dancing, a little video.
yeah, that's how you dance. That's how you smile. That's how you look if you were a girl. Um, I don't know if this would be weird, but what if you actually, is she your age? I don't know what age she is because she
I'm
looks
not
young.
sure even, no.
I think you should reach out and do a collab with her.
That
I
blow up.
think it would be amazing.
The amount of traction, the amount of messages I got about that on Twitter, on TikTok. I got tagged in the
Mate,
comments so many times.
I thought someone was doctoring it up and just one of those apps where
I mean, they did a face swap, yeah.
no, not face swap, like what would Fred look like as a girl? And that's basically what someone did, but it's a real person out there.
Very, very, very odd to think about. A couple more things, couple more names I want to mention.
Uh okay.
HS Tikkytokky. He's been going viral in the last few weeks. Obviously, he's on stream with Adin Ross, with Neon, all the streamers in America. He's been saying that he might be fighting in January. Any news on HS Tikkytokky?
Let's see what happens. I'd love to have him on a card. I think he's got raw power. He's got the gift of the gab. Might have to tone down a couple of things he says here and there a little bit. but on the whole, I think he's got superstar potential.
Okay, interesting then. And Bryce Hall, he was meant to fight Deji in the prime card, but got pushed forward, and now it's all a little bit up in the air.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Bryce, I speak to Bryce and his camp regularly, and I'd love to have Bryce on Misfits. It's long overdue.
Certainly, obviously, the very big win in the bare knuckle ranks. Let's talk about this then. Gibb versus Slim. I spoke to Liam Chivers earlier, trying to push the fight. Obviously, it's all in Gibb's corner, what he wants to do. Any updates on this fight? It seems the logical
No,
fight.
no, and people think like I'm trying to embarrass Gibb or something. Someone said that. I'm not at all. I just want to see the fight. And look, man, I don't think you're gonna do well in business if you bear grudges in the fight game. Or you might do well, but it's gonna bite you in the arse at some point. And I certainly have. I never had a grudge against Gibb, and Um, I don't think there's any bad business there or anything. If Gibb wants to fight, we would love to have him on Misfits Boxing. There's no ego there. There's no pride I need to swallow. I'm just telling you. Definitely have no problem with Gibb being on the card. He's very talented. He's done very well. That's the natural fight for him to make. The winner of Salt Papi versus Slim should be fighting Gibb, and that's Slim. So, I mean, what a banger that would be. That can be its own main event for sure. So.
Yeah, even pay-per-view, the right undercard, you can put that on pay-per-view. It's that big of a fight. Any news of Bradley Martyn at all? I've always liked the fight between Bradley Martyn and Arms. Any news on Bradley? He's been hanging out away. He's been hanging out in the influencer scene for a while.
I don't know him. I mean, I know who he is. He just asks who would win in a street fight between who would win in a street fight between the Equalizer and John Wick.
John
That
Wick. I think I haven't seen the Equalizer, but I've seen all the John Wick films. I think
No, don't
100%.
underestimate Equalizer. I think that's a really tough fight, Fred.
Did you watch the last John Wick?
Yeah, but I just watched Equalizer 3 the other day, and he's just such a badass.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. It's an 18. I haven't watched it yet. I have to check it out. I always
You're
love.
you're, you're 19. You can watch a fucking 18. What's wrong with you?
It's a scary film, man. I got a good fight for you. Why not do Speed versus Jack Doherty? Jack Doherty's a big streamer. You would have seen a security guard knock one of Karina Komp's friends
Look,
out.
not everyone's serious about fighting. That's all. That's all. If they want to fight, there's only one platform to fight on, realistically. Okay, so people talk, but like I said, it takes a lot more than. And it's funny when people are like, "Why don't you make this fight happen?" You can't make any fight happen. You can't just say, "Hey, Speed." Of course, I'd love Speed to fight. Speed would be amazing, by the way. His energy and his actual speed he's really fast. I think he'd be a great boxer. And Kai and all these guys, but I don't know, I don't know how much interest they really have.
Adin
Adin would be,
Ross.
yeah, exactly.
Have you spoken to Adin ever?
I don't believe we've ever spoken, no.
Okay. Before we wrap this up, we've got 7 minutes left on the Zoom. Misfits 0011. Misfits 011. The main event, B Dave versus Jarvis. A little bit of noise happened on Twitter yesterday. It seemed that B Dave went in, or broke into Nick LMAO's house. Do you know what was going on there? He's spoken to either guy.
No. I I just checked with Nick. I was like, "Is everything okay?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's all fine." Those belts should not be in their possession, either of them. So, because no one won that tag team match, it was a draw. So, yeah, we're getting those belts back anyway. So, B Dave,
It's
B
time.
Dave has possession of them both now. But look, this is what I'll say. I think that division is starting to really get interesting. I think B Dave versus Jarvis is a really entertaining fight. I think it's going to be action packed.
Well,
There's
it's
no
two
other way.
bulls coming together. Neither fighter will take a backward step ever.
No, and that's the great thing about it. I think that's the cool thing about that fight. Obviously, we know B Dave is the underdog, but underdogs can surprise you. Let's see what happens. Good fight for Jarvis. The title's up for grabs. And then this is the thing. I've told all my champions, when you're the champ, you have to take on the mandatory challenger who deserves to and is the number one contender. And so that means no easy fights. The rest of the card is stacked. I love it. It's a really action-packed card. I think I think that's what I'm really hoping for, is just a night of pure action, non-stop.
Arms Cardione versus Minicons, my favorite fight of the night. Out of the whole card, I would say. The rematch is
Yeah,
a
look,
good story.
Minicon's a tough, durable guy. And many say he won the last fight. Arms doesn't want anyone to have any doubt about the outcome this time. We saw vast improvement in Arms against Uruguay. No one expected Arms to come out, quite with that level of ferocity. And I think it's got the makings to be two big behemoths bashing each other up in that. And then we've got my personal favorite fight of the night is going to be Silva versus Rose.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. OG Rose surprised a lot of people. He just got like a beating in the first round of his last fight, and then he came back. And Gabriel Silva, obviously, it was a bit of a mismatch, him and Ben Davis, but he got a knockout, and now it's a real 50-50, this one, I'd say. I think all the fights in this card are all 50-50s. They are lesser names, but the fights are a lot more competitive, I'd say.
I love Poker versus Vampira as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what a great co-main event. First female co-main event we've had. And it's going to be a banger. I mean, that's a 50-50 pick and fight. And whoever wins that fight, I think, is going to have a really fun reign. And then don't forget, Barbie is waiting in the wings, training her butt off. And she's, she was a finalist of that tournament. She had an injury. So let's see what happens.
And Slim also just signed a new woman, this female basketball player as well, to his new promotional team, and she's very, very well known. Obviously, got the athletic ability, being a basketball player, so that's another woman. It's very big. So it's good to see the women's divisions growing quite heavily as much as the men's. I've only got about 4 minutes left here, so we'll wrap this up. But one last thing, will KSI be in attendance, do you reckon, for O11? It's in
Yeah,
London. He will be there.
yeah, he should be there. I think it's going to be a good night, Fred. But yeah, you and Fox the G tag team, December. Let's make it happen.
We could. We never know.
Now that I think about it, you and what is the girl's name that looks like you? The Fredanella? What's
I've no idea what this girl's name is,
the
Mams.
female Fred name? Um,
Frederica.
Frederica. That's the obvious one,
That's
isn't
a
it?
female girl's Fred's name. Yeah, that's a female one.
Okay, let's get Frederica and Fred to do a mixed tag match. I think that would be amazing. That'll go viral.
Well, WWE used to do the mixed tag teams for a while. I remember back in the day, like 2-3 years ago.
I hated them. I hated them.
Would you ever do that, Misfits? Would you ever
No,
contemplate doing that? Never.
no, it's stupid because never say never. Never say never. I just didn't enjoy them.
Mm.
I don't know why. I remember thinking it was just not. I love the tag teams that we have because the continuity and the flow of it. Flow is everything for entertainment. I still think Survivor Tag will get another shot and we improve it. And there's a lot of things to look forward to for next year, Fred. I'll tell you this: if all goes to plan, the new judging system will obliterate anything else that's out there today, and it will be a very, very rare occasion that you'll ever see the judge's decision go the wrong way if this system is put into place.
Will the new system be for O11 or is it after that next year?
No. It's going to be next year. Hopefully, the first part of next year, and it's going to include judges, supervisors, instant replay, and a jury.
We'll have open scoring.
As well as
It's open scoring, so you can see the score at the top of the ring when it's going ahead.
No, you will only it's semi-open scoring. So at the end of every round, the corners will be given the scorecards.
Oh wow, okay.
So you'll see it from the TV anyway. So people watching at home will know, and the boxers will know.
Is that not a surprise though? Like who's going to win? You don't know when they're raising their hand.
I think. Well, look, that's why. More importantly, the corners will know. And it's not specifically for the audience. It's more for the boxer. So had Mr. A known that Mr. B is ahead going into the last round, that's going to reflect on how he performs in that last round. But the other thing that's interesting is the criteria for the judging will be laid out. And it's ridiculous right now, the way it's down to a random person to decide your fate, basically, based on what he believes is right and wrong, rather than an actual specified criteria of this is how you win a round. This is more effective. That's got to bear more importance than this, A, B, and C, rather than, oh, I don't count clinch punches, or oh, body shots aren't as important to me, blah blah blah. It's got to be written out instead of leaving it so subjective. And ultimately, UFC does this right. The more damage done to a person in a round, the person who does the damage should win that round on the whole. There should be some exceptions for sure, but ultimately, if I watch boxer A and boxer B and someone says, which boxer would you rather be in that round? That answers your question usually.
So
But
I think
this is going to be
Misfits fixing the scoring. I think Misfits fixing judging scoring is the perfect thing to do.
It's my mission and KSI's mission and the mission of Callus Howland and myself and all of Misfits Boxing to not take part. We're here to revolutionize, and we're going to obliterate any and all corruption in this sport once and for all.
Certainly. I think once you can change that, then that's definitely a one over on boxing. So that's definitely an improvement. But Mams, I'll see you next week for Misfits 011 York Hall every day. It's good you're in York Hall. Obviously, a very traditional boxing place. It's an OG YouTube boxing place as well. Don't forget the KSI press conference and against Joe Weller and against Logan Paul and Jake Paul there back.
Exactly.
So
Fred,
yeah.
we'll see you there.
Awesome. I'll see you there, Mams. Thank you very much.